Hi everybody, it's Valerie with Lexis. This video is going to focus specifically on how to write a law review comment. A comment is an article on one case. I'm going to try to make it short. So I wrote down the various different approaches that your comment can take, and I like whether or not the court got it right, it got it wrong, and I'm going to email that to you guys in the handout. But this is going to focus just on the research portion of that of how to write your comment. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take the citation that you're using of your case and stick it in the red search box. If you have your own citation, you could follow along with me with your own cite, and then you can have all the research in there. In fact, I would recommend doing that. So I'm going to use the following. 862 F 3rd 353. This case is about, it's out of the Third Circuit, and it was contemplating the question of whether or not a citizen can record a police officer if that was a violation of the First Amendment. The first thing I want you guys to do when you pull up the case is scroll down and look at the case summary and just see how the court held. So this tells me right now that they reversed and remanded the lower court. So that means that this comment is probably going to be examining which approach was the right approach, the lower court or the upper court. Okay, the second thing that you want to do is you want to shepherdize your case. So you click over here and you click shepherdize. Now notice this thing has an A on it. That's because it just was decided and nobody has cited to this case one way or the other, but you're going to want to keep track of who does cite to your case. So now I shepardized it, and now I want you to do this. I want you to set up an alert. What will happen is every time a case, a law review, a statute, anytime anybody cites to your case, it's going to send you an email. Okay, so you click up here. It's important because sometimes cases get appealed and you need to know while you're writing it what's going on with your case. This is the overview. This is what I want you to focus on. First, you click on monitor. It's going to look for any change, but it only emails you if it gets a hit, okay? So you move from monitor to deliver. The first thing you do is you say, I want email and online. I'll tell you where, if you want to get them online where you can. You stick in your email address, and then you say this. You got to move this. Send a notification only when a change occurs. So this way you're not going to get emails every day that say, hey, nothing happened. So this way you know. Okay, so now I'm going to click Create an Alert. If you want to find your alerts or manage them, they're up here under More and when you see Alerts, okay? All right, so now let's move on. This goes into part 2 of how do you get the research for your paper. A comment gets the citations and their research for your paper in 3 places, or actually, guess 4. The case itself, the cases that are cited within your case, law review articles that discuss the subject matter of your case, and the news. Okay? Now, the reason that's important is because your outline, which I have given to you guys in a separate handout, is basically going to break out into a few pieces. You're going to have the intro, you're going to brief the case, essentially. The court held this, you give it the facts, the facts and the analysis. So that's part 1 is briefing the case. Part 2 is the analysis section. That's where you kind of analyze the various different approaches that the courts took, whether it's the lower court and the upper court. The third piece of your article talks about the impact and significance of this particular case in the area of law it was decided. So for this, it would be like, okay, this is decided about the First Amendment. What does this mean for the First Amendment? And what are the policy implications? What's the impact and significance? So you get that primarily from searching other law review articles in the news. Okay, so remember, you get your citations from the following. Your case, the case is cited within your case, other law review articles on the First Amendment, which is my thing, and the news. Okay, so how do you get all this? Let me start here, okay? The first thing you want to do is you're going to want to click over here where it says Table of Authority. Do you guys see that? That is going to be right here, Table of Authority. Notice there's 30 cases. This is a list of all the cases that are cited within your case, okay? The reason why this is very helpful is because a lot of the section 2 of your paper is going to fall into um, why this case was decided the way it was. So what you want to do is kind of analyze the major cases that they relied on in order to come up with that opinion. So this gives you a list of all the cases. Now, assuming you have read your case, what I suggest you do is then, that's the first place you get your research, right, is from the case itself. And then you get your research from the cases decided within your case, which is this, okay? The third place you get your research is in other law review articles on the subject matter. Now, there's two ways that you can get that. The first way is like this, okay? You click on Table of Authority, you get a list. Now, do you see here how all these also have shepherd's signals on them? This means that other courts, law reviews, statutes are citing to the cases that are within your case. You are going to want to see the law review articles that talk about your subject matter. So what you do is you shepherdize the case cited within your case. So what I'm actually going to do is, because this case came out of the Third Circuit, I'm going to narrow this by the Third Circuit. Now the reason I'm doing that is sometimes if you want to shepherdize like a Supreme Court type decision, there's going to be a ton of citations, could be thousands, and it gets too kind of hairy, So here, if you're going to narrow this by the Third Circuit, that's the case in which it was decided. And then I say, okay, here's this Kelly case. I can tell they discussed it a lot, cited the dissenting opinion. So this probably tells me that they took the district court approach and they cited this particular case to support that approach. What I'm going to do, remember, I'm in my decision. This is a case that has cited to my case. They've cited within my case. I am now going to shepherdize the Kelly case. The Kelly case is a key piece of the dissenting opinion. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over on where it says Other Citing Sources. Do you see this? This is going to give you a list of all the law reviews that have cited to this particular case. So then I'm going to refine by law reviews. You see there's 57 of them. Good. No one cited to your case yet. It's too new. But do you see here how on point this is? Lights, camera, arrest. The stage is set for a federal resolution of citizens' right to record the police in public. Very on point for you. Why is this so wildly helpful? Because this will help you understand the law, the impact and significance of your case, the policy arguments, and you also get to mine this law review article for their citations, and then you get to stick it in your own article. So you're going to want to save this. You click over here, and then you save it in a folder. You go up here. I think you guys probably know how to do this. You choose a folder, okay? Now, I want to keep this short, but I just want to show you, okay? If you click inside here, what you'll see is, I'm going to go actually up to the top, okay? You'll see here how this lays out all these little footnotes, then you get to put into your very own article, okay? This is why I think this is a really good place for you. Now, what we did is we found articles that were citing to cases within our case. Now what we're going to do is you can also find law review articles just by looking by the subject matter and not tied to a particular case that came out. So this is how I would do it. I would say police within the same paragraph as record, exclamation point, with the same paragraph as First Amendment, okay? I think you guys should do something similar. Take the big kind of like important keywords, attach them by paragraph, and then click search. All right, then I go over here to secondary material. I go to click on, oh no, I don't, yeah, I go secondary material. I click on law reviews. I resort this from newest to oldest. And then I start looking and seeing if I get any good ones. But see, I feel like you get better, more on point law review articles when you start shepherdizing the major cases within your case and then look at the law review articles that cited to those, because a lot of these aren't like super on point. But let's say you wanted to get a more on point list. I suggest going like this. You type at least, all one word, okay, no space. And then I'm going to say the word 10. You can put however many you want. And then I'm going to put in here record, exclamation point. So what I'm telling Lexis is if this word record or recording, that's what the exclamation point does, doesn't appear in my law review article at least 10 times, don't show it to me. It's a way of weeding out articles that just mention what you want maybe once or twice. So we did lob off about half. Let's see if these are any good. Court transparency, First Amendment, privacy in court records. Yeah, I mean, these are fine. You could actually then go at least, again, 10 if you wanted. Oh, 19 was too many. First Amendment. Like that, to try and get it more on point. And we can even stick in the word police. This is just for you to narrow down. God, we really get in this Clarence Thomas one a lot. That gives me 284. So you get the gist. The other thing so that is getting law review articles by subject matter. Now, why does that help you again? Because you're going to want to read these articles, see what they cite to, understand the arguments that they're making, and then you want to include those type of arguments or give you the fodder for a counter argument in your paper. Now, the last place, so that we covered 3, right? The case is cited within your case, law review articles. I gave you 2 ways to find them. And then the final way is the news. So I'm actually going to keep the same search, and I'm going to go over here to the news, and I'm going to resort from newest to oldest. This is something you guys probably know how to do. The reason you want to look at the news is because this will give you, again, that third piece of your paper that talks about the impact, significance, policy behind this particular case. You're going to be able to find news articles and blogs. No immunity for cops who arrested man, recording them for obstruction. See, great. You want this because this really adds to your impact and significance piece of your article. Okay, you could actually turn this maybe even into a note if you were so inclined, if this was your paper. Because look at this first one that came up, also very interesting. Court gives new guidance on police recordings. Something else that you'd want to think about. This helps you flesh out and make your paper more timely and more interesting. So I'm going to send you guys, that's it for the class, okay? Oh, you know what? Oh, wait. I want to say one more thing. You can also set up an alert by subject matter, and I think you should do that. So I say create an alert. Remember, it's all about monitor and delivery. So where do you want them to look? You want them to look in cases, statutes, and you're going to want to, and you're already in the news. So yeah, and we're already in the news. So then you do those, you click delivery, you stick in your email. It looks every day, but only emails if you get to hit, and you would create alert. Okay, so we set up 2 alerts. If you guys have questions, you can always send me a note, and I'll send this out to you guys today.